Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another indie comic review, and this time I'm reviewing one of Aftershock's comics, Search for Hugh. And I must admit, this is actually quite an interesting story because it's got a bit of a team up with Steve Orlando, and I must admit, I have read some Steve Orlando comics through DC, but I think with him working on this one's more enjoyable than what I've read of his over at DC Comics. And the one that I read of his over at DC Comics was Midnighter and also Midnighter and Apollo. And I'll say one thing out of this. I think I enjoyed Midnighter and Apollo more from Steve Orlando, plus I like the character of Apollo more than Midnighter. Just how the story came across. Well, moving on to this one, we've got quite a bit to cover for this review. And starting off with first things first, does this particular cover in any way relate to something that is happening internally within the story? Surprisingly, it does. And for the raising of this cover, and I don't know if this had any variant covers. I think this might be its only cover. If I'm incorrect, please let me know in the comments. And I mean it, please let me know in the comments. And as you can see here, we've got the main character on the left-hand side. I'll soon let you know the name of the main character when we move into some of the internal art. And on the on the right-hand side, we've got members that are actually in relation to sort of like a Chinese criminal organization. Very interesting, I must admit. But we'll get to that once we move inside the story. So, time to move into the internal art, which I'll give my rating for the art after I show you some around the beginning, middle, and end. Now, this is some of the art around the beginning. As we meet the main character, as he actually comes back from overseas, serving in the USDF, the United States Defense Forces. And he's catching up with his family. I'll now move slowly towards the middle. Alright, this isn't quite the middle, but it does actually let you know something about the character. Moving directly into the middle. To which he's now catching up with his parents in hospital after some certain events that broke out. And now moving towards the end. And finally towards the end. To which we have the main character. Well, you'll soon find out what's going to be covered next. Okay, for the art overall, I gave it a rating of 7.5 out of 10, and it felt very consistent within each and every panel. So a great job for the artist here. Now it's time to jump into the story raising. Now, as you know, there are certain things I like to look for in my stories, because it helps you learn more about the world and also where said characters have been to or are going to. And starting off with first things first, when does this take place time-wise? And this story takes place time-wise in the year of 2015. We do actually get a sort of like a flashback as well within the story, and it takes us back also through a photo, and that's why I sort of like showed that a little bit before the middle, because of how important that is in the story. And that photo is taken in 1985. Now, the location to which the main character, to which his name is Aaron, and he catches up with his ma and pa, after coming back home from Afghanistan. Now, one thing I didn't show you was the first page in relation to him working in Afghanistan. But that's also where you see one of the officers that he also works with. And I thought that was really good because it gave you a quick introductory as to some of the work that this character, Aaron, is involved in. His home place to which we saw him return was at San Gabriel, California. And then along the way, we also go to Incheon Airport in South Korea. I didn't get to show you the page on that. And then also, I hope I'm saying this correctly as to how it was brought up in the story, and I tried to write it as accurate as possible as to how it came across in the story. Dalian, China. And that's where some of the stuff takes place in some of the end of what was shown to you in the artwork. The cast of characters are made up of Aaron, who's Ma and Pa, Angie, Robbie, or Angie or Angela and Robbie, MK, that's basically his sergeant or officer over him. We also end up meeting Detective Beat, and we also learn that this character has some cousins that also live in China by the name of Ezra and Nathan. Then we encounter Boa and also Hugh. Boa Hugh. One good thing at the end of this, I will point out, is that you do get to see a family tree linking to something that's connected within the story, and I like that addition. Even though it didn't increase the story rating, I probably could have brought it up a little bit more to about 7, but I felt happy sitting it with a 6.5 for the story rating. So overall, Aaron C gets caught up in a bloody family feud. Also learning that his family has some relation to some Russian Jews, to which their surname are the Mogolis. And he's also a USDF soldier, as I brought up earlier in the story. I would like to bring up something. I don't think every character should also have some Jewish heritage. And this goes to be brought across to both Steve Orlando and whoever's working on the story. If you decide to do another story, I'd like to see you do something a little bit different, because also understanding that my username for the channel is also Jewish, also Hebrew, and in English it translates to Psalm 29. Um, I just want to bring that small point across. But I can understand how you're trying to use it in the story in regards to a family feud. But maybe if you do another story for Aftershock, could you please try to say maybe cover, I don't know, a different character from a different background, and maybe not make him Jewish? Maybe you could make him of African background or Hispanic background. Just an idea. But will I continue to see how this story goes in the future? I might. I'm a little bit unsure if I'll continue to follow the story for this issue. I'll see how things go for when the next issue comes out, and if I enjoy what I see of the next issue, I'll tell my LCS that I'd like to get it. Well, until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.